Hey, Biscuit!
Hey, Jazz.
Do you know what I like to play?
What do you like to play?
Strategy games!
Yeah!
I've got another riddle for you.
Oh?
Do you know what I'm shit at?
What?
Strategy games!
Yay!
Yay! It's possible to like something while also being shit at it. That's what I like to say. That's how I get through life, really.
That's how I get through the dating scene.
Yes. I was going to talk to you about that, but I'm glad you're aware of the problem.
Grand.
What we have here is an amateurish attempt at an introduction to the first proper attempt at the games and all that jazz podcast, which is the best name anyone could come up with for it. I'm your host, Jazz. I do all the hard work. This one just turns up and says some shit.
Yeah, I'm your guest, Biscuit, and I do Sweet Fanny Adams. I mixed my metaphors there.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what you were going for there at all. Some of the pre-show ramblings you had earlier, I don't think I think people would just go mad trying to make sense of it. I know I have.
I didn't want to swear, I think is what it was.
Oh no, we encourage all manner of foul language. All the poopies and the bum-bums are allowed on this show.
Great. I do shit all. Hey!
Huzzah, good for you, you jammy dodger.
So, even though you're terrible at strategy games, what's your favourite strategy game?
Now that is a very good question, and it's hard to say, but I guess the one that springs to mind is Galactic Civilizations 2.
Yeah?
Yes, because often known as Civilization in Space, the Gal Civ games are pretty much that. Imagine like Civ but in space, and it's literally called Galactic Civilization. I forgot the second half of the name.
Two.
There's a third one also.
Yeah.
Um,
I played a little bit of that actually, the third one, as well as quite a lot more of the second one, and none at all of the first one.
So that's good. Actually having played some of the games is useful when we're talking about them.
It's very true. Although some of the strategy games that I play, because I play more of them, because I'm not as terrible at them.
You're less shit.
Yeah,
If this
I'm
podcast has a
less
title, it would be strategy games which I'm shit at, but Biscuit is less shit at.
but not as good as some of the better people out there, because he's still quite amateurly shit.
I don't think that title would fit on YouTube, but by all means.
It's a bit long. It runs on a bit.
This is definitely going to be the theme. It's like, hey, here's a topic. You know what I like about that topic?
Tangents!
A completely unrelated tangent. That's what I like. It's a Gal Civ too. It's pretty good. You pick like a spacefaring civilization and you set out you start on a planet and you have to get other planets with your colony ships. And it has that. There's the strategy genre known as 4X, which I can never remember what that stands for. It's like exterminate, explore, expand.
X
Go and give it to you.
X go and deliver it to you.
Probably. Anyway, the 4X games go and give it to you. And what I like about it, the Civilization is the most popular example, but what I like about them is it's not just, you don't just kill everyone as your only option. You can either kill everyone as one way to beat the game, or you can be friends with everyone, start an alliance, and like galactic alliance is how you win because there's no war because everyone's friends now, even if some people get blown up in the process. You can have a cultural victory, which is like you become such an economic and cultural powerhouse that no one really wants to start a war with you. You're like the dominant culture in the galaxy. And what was the other one? There's some other one where you like collect like weird star-based things for a certain period, like capture the flag. That's like the crappy one no one likes.
Yeah, or domination if you're into the Quake and Unreal Tournament games.
Yes.
That's more like it, I reckon. But capture the flag is as good as analogy as it. I just googled the 4X, by the way, because I also didn't know what it meant.
Don't Google 3X's, you'll get something else.
No, I made sure to put XXX and then a space before the next X, just in case.
Yes.
And it was explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate.
Oh, exploit. That's
Not a single one of those words begins with an X, and as a linguist, that annoys me a little bit.
Yeah, 4E doesn't really flow off the tongue
No,
as well.
because it technically means fourth.
Yes, indeed.
Do you know what I
Anywho,
liked best about the Galactic Civilizations games, though?
yes, no,
Being able
tell me.
to create your own race. So what
I
I would do
know,
is I would upload a picture of my face as my flag, basically.
terrifying.
Use the humans template, and basically it would be just a carbon copy of the humans, but instead of it being the Federation, I would just be the British Empire, expanding into space.
The biscuits. They're gonna get you. Much like X, biscuits gonna give it to you.
Biscuit's gonna give it to you.
Pop culture.
Because we're cool and we know that stuff.
But what I love about these games, I was trying to say, was because they have that open-ended approach. You might start off being like, "Yeah, I'm gonna blow everyone up. That's what I'm doing," and then you realize, actually, turns out I could research. Oh, that's the one I forgot. Actually, research victory is the one where you finish the research tree and you basically research yourself into another dimension and become like this god being.
Yeah.
Which I always envisioned as a guy with two test tubes going like, I wonder what happens if, and he just explodes into another dimension. He becomes
Explode.
Dr. Manhattan.
Pretty much.
Amazing. Yes, so you can. That's the Dr. Manhattan victory, as it's officially known.
Or it is now if it hasn't been previously.
Yes. But you know what I mean? You might be researching towards doing that, then you go, oh, actually, because I've researched so much, I'm really good at guns now, and I notice that my enemy is actually really shit at gun stuff, so maybe I'll just crank out some spaceships and go blow up their thing. Oh, and I've won a domination victory now. Or you might be doing a domination victory and realize that actually, if I just ally with these people, we can then wipe out this other civilization, and then I've got an alliance victory.
Exactly. Alliance victories are my favourite way of cheating my way to a victory, especially if you're playing against other humans and not computer players, because you can then be really, really sneaky and message them with like, hey, do you want to, just you and me in this alliance? And you do that to everybody, and then suddenly everyone's allied with you, and you're like, hey, I win.
Yeah, but my absolute... I believe I discovered this all by myself, which I'm very proud of. My favourite strategy in Galciv is the war profiteering option I discovered. Because there's a skill you can unlock, which it is called war profiteering. It literally gives you like 10% profit or whatever off any wars that are going on in the galaxy, and that's any wars between any two civilizations. So I discovered, if I just fortified my corner of the galaxy and didn't start any wars with anyone, but you can pay people to go to war with others. So you can be like, hey, have this technology and go to war, go fight them. And
I'll
you can
give
be like,
you the
okay.
black hole gun if you fuck them up.
It's like, so you literally become like a gun smuggler and just be like, here you go. You can start proxy wars. You can be like, I don't like these guys encroaching on my territory. Here, friend, go blow them up. And they do, and you get money off that war, and also you can avoid like directly getting involved in, they take all the casualties basically, and you get profit. Obviously it's expensive to send someone to start a war, but then you're getting profit once they've done it, and you can still trade with your allies and stuff. And this turned out, I've won a match of Galciv without building a single warship, because you can even just buy them off people as well. You'd be like, oh, I'll just buy that and that and that. So especially if you kind of groom one other civilization to be like your war dog, you just send them after other people. The only downside to the strategy I've discovered is that your war dog can potentially turn on you.
Yeah.
Because picture the scene. To wrap up my analogy, you're this ostensibly peaceful civilization with no real battle capacity, and you've been feeding guns to another faction so that they can go and kill everyone else. Eventually it'll just be you two, and unless you've actually formed an official alliance with them, there's nothing to stop them just turning around and attacking you when there's no one else left.
Hey man, thanks for all these guns. Yeah, no worries.
Yes,
Feels good, don't it?
Yeah. It'd be a shame if something were to happen to this nice little alliance we got here.
So yeah, you're gonna Can you help us out with your... You don't have an army. Oh.
Oh,
Well, in that case... It's happened a few
exactly.
times, this change in tactics and the flexibility of being able to play a game where I'd be like, alright, sick, I'm going to go to war and I'm going to crush these guys over here. I'm going to build up my ships, but I don't do it well enough and my ships are like tripe. Like paper mache things with lasers on and they just get destroyed and I'm there with like no military anymore and I'm like, okay. But I've been researching other things at the same time and suddenly another one of the civilizations has just lost a planet to me because I can put on better theatre shows than they can. And it's essentially, and I'm shilling myself out like in advertising to them, and they're like, "Oh, we like your culture. Have some
I did.
ships."
I did always like the If you do the cultural victory, I always like to imagine you're just kind of mass bombing planets with cheesy T-shirts or something. It's like our empire's great. Have a T-shirt. It's like
Rebel
you know
scum.
houses being torn apart by like one parent loving your faction and someone else refusing to wear their T-shirts. It's like we're not even a matching cap. Come on, woman, be reasonable.
I don't think much of your shorts and flip flops. They were
This
designed for
is
another
true.
race entirely,
Mm.
but they look so cool.
We've only got 4 arms. How am I supposed to wear this 6-armed thing? Something like that. We might have tangented a bit there too. But that is what I like about there's a guy who did a couple of blogs, these like really long-winded, amusing blog stories about Galciv 2, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and it's literally just him being like, okay, I'm gonna try and beat this game completely peacefully, and then he just got into so many adventures trying to avoid starting wars with people, even though everyone kept starting wars with him. And because you can create your own civilization and use your face and whatever, and create your own ships, which look like the Enterprise if you want, or robots or whatever.
Or an
You just
interstellar schlong.
yes, the sport approach to customization. You just have so many. It's the little stories. I think these games work best when it's not just a base. It's a base with some history to it, something significant to it. Like maybe it's just the nicest planet. Like it's got the best planet rating, so everyone's always trying to take it from you. So it's this really peaceful, loving Eden planet, and yet it's actually just this cauldron of conflict because everyone's always trying to take it from you.
Because everyone's trying to carpet bomb it with t-shirts.
Yes. Pew, pew, pew. Just annoying, like, jingles blasting out speakers and dropping t-shirts and... Yes. Or then, like, or what if, like, you're sending, like, Jehovah's Witnesses down there too, like, oh, would you like a t-shirt? You know, take a moment
Would you like
to
a
talk
free
about...
cap?
Talk about our Lord and Saviour, aggressive capitalism,
Have you tried living under aggressive capitalism? No? Have a free t-shirt. You can pay me back in 6 monthly installments.
Pay me back in thetons. Yes. Do you have anything else to add to the Galciv conversation?
It's space. It's great. I can see why you like it.
I know, I do. I have found. I do
Yes.
wonder if I've played enough, or rather too much, now that I don't seem to be able to get excited about it anymore. But,
Interesting point, though.
Hmm?
It's a turn-based strategy rather than a
We
real-time
completely forgot to mention that for 20 minutes,
Yes.
didn't we? It's turn-based strategy.
strategy.
That is nice though, because it gives you all the time you want to make decisions,
Mm.
And an interesting counterpoint might be Total War.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Now, I've mainly played Total War Medieval 2 or Medieval 2 Total War, whichever way round it's meant to be. I don't care.
There was one with a gold edition. I think that's the one that I bought.
Yeah.
I just remember playing as the Welsh.
I do enjoy the Britannia expansion because I like to start as Ireland and then just like unite Ireland and then just invade the rest.
Oh
I say the rest of Britain, I just invade Britannia from Ireland. I enjoy that. It's just, I'm obsessed in all these games with the idea of just having a little... I do the same thing in Sins of Solar Empire. I like to have a little corner that I just fortify and then just send things out of, like... Go, my pretties! And I just send little crummy little spaceships out, be like... Total War. The gimmick of Total War is that it's a combination turn-based and real-time strategy.
Mm.
Because there's like the campaign map where you move all your little units around. It's like, go to this city. Okay, we'll be there in 6 turns. And then it's like, oh, this city will take 2 turns to build the plasma screen TV or whatever you're building to keep the plebs entertained. But then if you get into a fight, you have the option to fight it in real time. You like move your guys around little units, and they say like, archers, deploy your arrows and your flaming arrows, and then you can like make them scatter to avoid stand further apart to avoid our arrows.
And recently, of course, there was the Warhammer Total War game that came out, didn't it?
All I know about that is the bullshit pre-order DLC, but go on.
Well, it's basically the same kind of game that we know, but instead of it being set in the real world, it's set in the world of Warhammer Fantasy. And they also have flying units as well thrown into the mix, which
is actually interesting.
Which add in a few new fun little tactics.
I feel like they'd be OP as all hell.
Oh, and massive like demon things as well. You know, they've got some giants and lots of fantasy things in there. Fantasy.
I wonder how it compares to all the thousands upon thousands of Lord of the Rings mods people made for Total War.
Oh, I love Lord of the Rings mods for things. I know this is completely off topic, but
Mountain
Blade Warband, great game. There is a sick Lord of the Rings mod for that, called like The Last Days of the Third Age or something like that, and the creators of it created the entire world as true to the actual one as they could, to the point of like you can actually go in and walk around all the various different cities, including the ones that were never in the movies or anything, and they went to the trouble of creating the models and animations for all the different races, so you legit have to have a difference between men and goblins, and a huge amount of work went into that, and it's the best Lord of the Rings mod I've played for like any game. It's great.
I just got up my phone and started browsing Imgur while you were talking about that. That's how enthralled I was. I was unprofessional. I'll stop now.
Yes. Have you played or heard of Crusader Kings 2?
I have heard of it. I think I very briefly tried to play it while it was on a free trial or something, and I love the idea. I love the concept. It's like there's like a much more rudimentary system in Total War of this is my king. He can have a son, and he can marry someone, and he can like die of the plague, and he has all these character traits that affect him in battle and stuff. Crusader Kings is like the entire game based around that system.
Yeah, it's that cranked up to 11.
It's not so much a combat game as a game that has combat in it, and is more about just Game of Thrones. Imagine Game of Thrones,
but
only
set in the
without...
real world.
Yeah, without magic and shit. Like, I love the idea that an heir turning out to be gay can be like a massive plot twist in your scheme. Like, oh no, he can't father an heir now, he's gay. Oh jeez.
I hate how you brought that up, because that was what I was going to say exactly. Because I was going to use an example of a game I played where I played as Cornwall to start with, and I took over an area that was like twice the size of the Byzantine Empire. It was sick. I conquered the world basically as Cornwall. And at one point, my king was dying, and all of my heirs were female, and I hadn't changed the way that the power gets grabbed, so all of my power was going to get dissolved between all the nobles. I was like, no, I need a son. So I had a son, and when he grew up, as I was marrying him off to some poor fucking German girl, turned out to be gay, never produced any heirs of his own, and I went, no! That's what ended my world domination as Cornwall.
I want that faggot. So badly. I love that. You and your risque humour. I love that idea so much of like, just okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna groom this, I've got this plans, I'm gonna like usurp this guy, and then he's gonna be out of power, and then I'll inherit when that king dies. And I love these schemes that can just go wrong unexpectedly, and you have to recover. It's almost like FTL, where you're like, okay, everything's going fine, and then, oh god, my engines are on fire, and now my shields have also exploded, and now I don't know what to do.
I've lost door control, and all of my doors are venting oxygen into space. Oh dear.
Yeah, that's also known as me the night after recovery, but...
Oh yes. I only noticed he was gay as well during the marriage process. while he was at a summer fair in a
Mhm.
jousting competition.
Mhm. This is sounding more and more like Game of Thrones. um.
Set in
No.
sunny Falmouth, of course.
Hmm. Oh no. Yes, I see what you did there. What is it? Um, I have not actually really played Crusader Kings, but it's one of those things I wish I was smart enough to get into
Mm.
because it sounds incredible. It's like how Eve Online, which is kind of strategy-ish almost,
Nearly.
simulator-ish almost, spaceships. Um, it's like how Eve Online is simultaneously the most interesting game ever and the most boring game ever.
Yeah.
Because you hear all these incredible stories and plots and people, there have been people who've done like year-long sleeper agent tactics of like, hello, I'm a completely ordinary person, I would like to join your virtual corporation, please. And then they rise through the ranks, and then literally a year later they're like, ah, I was a sleeper agent the entire time, I've just sold all your assets, bitches, and just flown your flagship into the sun. All of that is amazing, but if you actually play the game, it's like spreadsheet simulator
Oh,
from
I
15 years
know. I
ago.
could never get into it, and I hate myself for not being able to a little bit because I've heard so many people going on about how good it is. But
Oh no.
I stick with Elite Dangerous for all of my space trucking needs.
Yeah, we are very dangerously in danger
Oh,
of. Elite Dangerous is in danger of tipping over.
oh.
That was more no. That was a ship joke. Just capsizing the conversation. Uh, um, but on the theme of games I wish I was good at because they're good and I'm not good because I'm shit at strategy games, as we've established.
Mm.
Um, Sins of a Solar Empire, I think I mentioned.
Yeah.
I think Sins might be like my like exact peak of just barely able to play competently. I think it's just slightly too complicated for me to be able to ever be good at it. Because even on like a small arena with only one other faction and like 10 planets in total, I always seem to be like, there's too many things happening. My brain can't keep track of them all,
Yeah.
and it's just too much. And when I have one planet, it's fine. It's like, there you go, you build something, that ship goes over there.
Mhm.
The interesting thing about Sins of Solar Empire is it's a 4xy thing, but it's not turn-based like most of them are. It is real time,
Yeah,
but
it's one of the real time.
the whole gimmick is that time moves quite slowly. You can speed it up if you want, but the slowest time is quite slow. So it'll be like, oh no, there's enemy ships coming towards my planet. They'll be here in a minute, and then you have a minute to frantically try and prepare something. So it's always worth getting like the early warning systems because they will give you just another minute to frantically build frigates or something. And half of that game is I just love that sense of like you have regular ships and you have capital ships, and
Yeah.
capital ships are kind of good at everything, but they're expensive and they're slow. And I love that sense of like, oh no, my entire fleet's over here, and the battle's on the other side of the planet, or not planet, galaxy, and I was an idiot, and I've put all my ships over there, and now it'll take literally, it takes 2 seconds to tell them where to go, but it'll take potentially literally 5 minutes or more for them to actually get here.
Mm.
Um, but then destroying planets can take 10 minutes as well, so it's like, come on, come on.
Watching
You
them
know,
slowly edge their way over the minimap, and you're like, come on.
it's just. I did have fun playing multiplayer with someone because neither of us were very good. So it
Yeah.
was like, aha, my incompetence trumps your incompetence.
Aye. Because I've played a bit of multiplayer Sins as well,
Hmm.
and it was again it's I don't know what it is about Sins because I do enjoy the setting, I do quite like the game, and the voice acting, I love it. It's not great voice acting, but I love it. It is like the
Insufficient
Deus
metal.
Ex Human Revolution style when you know it's bad, but it's really good bad stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the UI that I found is what turned me away from the game. It can get very 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 cluttered very quickly, especially if you forget to turn
Yeah.
like the extra stuff off. So you've got all the pictures of all the different ships just like covering half the screen, and you're like, "Argh!" as your opponents are very slowly making their way towards it, slowly but with intent.
Something there's an interesting like contradiction present in Sins, I think, because simultaneously it doesn't seem like there's very much like micromanagement. You can just say ship, go to that planet, and it'll just auto plot a course and go there, and you can just leave it for 10 minutes while it goes off and does that. But at the same time, like you can say, oh, any enemy ships that enter will automatically be attacked by all your ships. You don't have to worry about it. But it's like they never do things like you can tell it to auto put down buildings, but it'll just scatter them randomly around your planet. And I'm like, no.
Nice.
If you put them close together, computer, they will be able to benefit from gaining each other's abilities if you just put them together. Like if you have two guns within range of each other, they can both shoot at the same thing, rather than just being picked off one at a time. And so basically you have to micromanage and put things manually where they should go, otherwise the computer will just put them randomly all over the place. And it's more frustrating with the ships, because the ships have no concept of let's fight nearby the building that will repair us while we're fighting. No, let's just mass far away from all the repairing buildings. And what confuses me is there's an option to tell ships where to go once they've been built, but they don't seem to use that as a waypoint in general for when they already exist. I thought what it would do is like, okay, all ships, please hover around this point as your default patrol point. Okay, but they don't do that. They will move around when people attack and then just sit there wherever they've ended up. And I'm like, no, go back to the repair point and get repaired rather than sit around wasting my time. There may well be a feature I'm missing, but it just seems like I'm constantly having to go, no.
No, I had the same problems as well. It's like, imagine if the ships were, the age of a child in between being a child and being a toddler, so they kind of know what you're telling him to do, but at the same time lack the intellectual capacity to do it properly. It's like the ships are all that, and you're trying to like babysit them across the galaxy. And when they get hit by bigger ships and the enemy ships, and sometimes they don't even attack back, and you're like, no, defend yourselves. Because I had once like a little fleet of ships, and they were going like halfway across the map just to reinforce another fleet of ships I had, because I was doing that thing where you haven't declared war on somebody who is neutral to you, but you amass all your ships on the edge of their space, ready for them.
Yeah, I do like, by the way, Galciv 2 specifically calls you out on that.
It does. It's beautiful.
Because I do like that. It does have a sense of humour, Galciv. If the computer thinks that you're conspicuously massing ships right outside its territory, it'll send you a message being like, "Do you think this is a video game? I see what you're doing." It sometimes does it even if you're not, but when it does correctly predict it, it's pretty freaky.
Yeah.
And I also, I don't know if you remember, there's the United Planets system where you habitually get to vote on things in a Senate, with all the civilizations get to vote on things. One of the things that can get voted on is, if we declare war on someone, should all planets be teleported like far away from the enemy territory so that they don't sneak attack?
Yeah.
It's some sort of code of honor is what they're going by, and there's no explanation as to how they get moved over there, but they just literally ping across the galaxy. I've actually heard of people deliberately exploiting that feature to get moved to the other side of the map deliberately, but I love how they get called out. Can I, just because this is a rambling conversation, we went into this with that understanding, I do really love in Galciv how you can also basically rig the United Planets.
It's so good.
Because you get a number of votes based on influence points, which is based off your population. I think your population will generate influence points, but they're a separate entity in themselves, you know what I mean? So you might generate them and then you sell them or buy them. You can trade them with other factions for things. So if you know there's a United Planets vote coming up, you can deliberately... Having a high population helps, but then you can also trade to buy influence points.
You can buy people's votes, essentially.
Yeah,
and
it's
that's
not
really
ever
fun.
really explained what influence points are. It's just, I guess you can just role play that they're
It's basically
something.
the Eurovision where people buy each other's votes off of each other. Oh, that's pretty topical.
But Eurovision means nothing to me.
It's the United Planets thing, basically.
Intergalactic Eurovision,
Yes, except
Intergalactovision.
yeah, except instead of the I don't know what are they called. They're the ones that look like monkeys.
What?
The warmongering guys who like slaves.
I thought you meant this is some sort of racist comment on one of the countries in Eurovision.
Pretty
Which are the
sure I could
ones that
make one
look like...
fairly easily, but I'm not going to.
Oh God, no, no! Stop, stop! What are the what? Oh, the Drengin, the Drengin, I
Drunken,
think.
that's
Yeah,
the
Drengin,
they're the
Drengen,
ones.
Drengin. I
Drengen?
know what you're talking about.
Drengi?
I never even really
Drengi.
made that comparison that they look like monkeys, but I suppose you got a point there.
Ah, yeah. And they've got
Um,
the older monkeys, which are like the slightly more evil Drengi.
yeah, I do like how that universe's idea of a plot twist is, hey, here's a slight variation of the same species. Actually, that bothered me in Sins of the Solar Empire,
Yeah,
which is
because the new
picking.
one's got like the different sub factions.
Yeah, like that was one of the things about Sins is that there's only three factions, and they're all significantly different. But once you
Mm.
play the game long enough, it's like, oh, I've seen all of that now. So they came out with this big expansion thing, and it's like, aha, you've got three more factions to play with. But actually, it's just three different rebel factions of the existing three factions.
Yup.
So you get the human rebels, the Advent rebels, and
The other chaps.
the other one, the other one's rebels. I'm thinking that's so lame. Why is that so lame?
So lazy.
It's like if they hadn't bothered at all, I almost wouldn't have questioned it. It's almost like they just went, we don't have quite enough content for this expansion. I know, let's do a cheap reskin of the existing factions.
That'll make it
And,
worth an extra £20.
and in fact, it's called Sins of the Solar Empire Rebellion. It's
Yeah.
suggesting like that's the main feature. Ugh.
That's the whole crux of the game with these little reskins.
And I also don't like the idea of those Titan units, actually. I haven't played Rebellion, but I haven't heard a lot
I've
of
played a
great
little bit of them, a little bit of it, but
Because, like, I read, like, the thing with the Titans is that it's almost like the capital ships turned up to 11, because
yeah.
they're, like, they're good at everything, combat-wise. The only thing that can really take down a Titan is either another Titan or a completely fully maxed out starbase, and there are no other real strategies to fight Titans. So it's kind of very lame that there's just like this super unit that you research, and then it moves around the map just laying waste to everyone.
It's the very slow I win button, especially if you've got
Yeah.
a fleet supporting them.
I don't know, it just bothers me because capital ships already serve that sort of purpose on a lesser scale,
Mm.
you know.
Mind you, the Titan unit in that actually is, well, the name itself is basically word for word. Age of Mythology had a Titans expansion as well, where you could basically build another Wanda, and you could summon a Titan to help you. But they were kept in check by the fact that they could never cross any body of water.
Oh, okay.
So if you were on an islands map, for instance, against like a bunch of people, you could sneakily like dig up a Titan on an enemy's base, and that's a legit way of going, haha, you didn't scout, I'm better than you.
Interesting.
So there is like that element of balance, unless you're playing on a map with no water. But they are also weak to the most common unit in the game, the standard the bog standard dude waving either a stick or a sword, depending on who you're playing as, which is great. Hilarious
Is this
because
all-
they can the Titans can just step on them and kick them around, but they take extra damage from them.
Wow, is this like the legendary like civilization thing where guys with spears were incredibly OP against like there was something about how they stacked that meant they could put up a fight against like tanks and things. It was like, oh no, a spear.
One of the big things about the Age of games, like mostly Age of Empires and Age of Mythology, is that they're built around counters. So, for example, in Age of Empires, you have like cavalry unit. To really dumb it down, you've got cavalry units, archers, and spearmen. Spearmen beat cavalry, cavalry beat archers, archers beat spearmen. Everything has a counter. In Age of Mythology, including the Titans, there's basically heroes, humans, and mythological creatures. The heroes are good against the mythological creatures, who are good against the humans, who are good against the heroes. So everyone has their own little counter, and it's great. And just your bog standard dudes are great against the Titans, because the Titans come under the like the type of hero unit, as it were, category, which means that you can just like get 50 archers to just do like hit and run tactics and just take out an opponent's Titan, and there's nothing more satisfying than watching it collapse on top of its own city because it can't keep up with your units.
What was this? Was this Age of Empires?
Age of Mythology was the one with the Titans.
Age of Mythology. Oh right. Okay.
Age of Empires is the They're both incredibly good games, and they've got a lot of information, real world information in them.
Wasn't the Age of Empires 2? They did like a HD port basically,
They did, and it's so good.
It wasn't very good.
No, it's so good.
Oh, did they fix it?
Yeah,
I heard
it's
it came
all been
out
completely fixed and reworked and done properly. And on top of that, the developers have also been working on expansions to the game, bringing in new civilizations and balancing everything else out properly. So
I did hear about that actually. That was really interesting.
Basically, come back to life.
It was basically like, hey, 12 years later, here's this new expansion. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Incidentally, oh goodness, this is a tangent, but I hear people talk about, oh, they're remaking this, and I get really excited, and I realise what they mean is they're doing like a shiny port of an old game. Like, the nature of video games and how like fluid they are, because they're all made of code essentially. The lines can get a bit wazzy, you know.
Great
but,
term.
I know. I'm trying to make it a thing.
Wazzy.
Like when I decided that wank stain was a highly underused curse word. I was like, oh, what a pile of wank! That's a real wank stain you've got there, you know. I want to make that thing and bring it back.
Bringing it back.
Like sideburns, no. What was I talking about? No. Yes, I know.
Talking about wank stains.
Wank stains, no, remakes. Some remakes are wank stains, but I feel like remake generally in video games should be like, hey, we're actually like, here's a new engine and we're doing new assets and we're actually building new levels. Like what they did with Ratchet and Clank is what I'd call a remake, where it's like, hey, we're actually building a new game here and basing it off an old game. Or aren't they doing that with Crash Bandicoot actually?
Yeah.
Yeah, because what I often see, like okay, the Metal Gear HD collection is a fancy port. It's like, here's a bunch of games, they're all like HDified now as much as we can. Here they are in a convenient format on a new, more updated machine. That's a port. A port. It's not a, you know, the term remaster, fine, you know, if you want to be fancy. I guess remaster is like, here's a port which is a bit shinier, whereas like a port is generally just like, here's a side. It's not like a better. It's just, here's also on this machine. But this is definitely a tangent now. Should I talk about another strategy game? Because I thought of one as we were sitting here.
Command and Conquer.
I haven't played much of that, so you can talk about that.
All right.
But I won't have much to say.
Okay, so hang on. I'll have the Age of Empires and Mythology shit and Command and Conquer, and you can bring in your new one, which is...
Oh, okay. Did you ever play, just to be controversial, I'm going to talk about a console-exclusive strategy game.
Which one?
Did you ever play Aliens vs Predator Extinction?
Oh, damn it. I thought you were going to talk about Jurassic Park Operation Genesis.
Well, that's not a strategy game. That's like a management game, but that is on my notepad document I'm looking at on the laptop.
Yeah, no, it's along with like Prison Architect and Roller Coaster Tycoon and Theme Hospital. We'll talk about that later. Fuck it.
That tangent is later.
AVP.
AVP Extinction is a real tragic case to me, because in a beautiful alternate universe where they released a PC port is like a potentially brilliant game. I mean, okay. The first problem with the game is it is a console exclusive real-time strategy game, which means
it has problems.
you have to use a controller, and there's just that inherent lack of precision. Now, I will say there's all these features like how you can click on a unit, or you can like double tap it to immediately select all of those units of that type on screen, which is quite nifty. And you can also hold down the select button to do a big like ring. I love how vividly I remember this. I haven't played the game in months and I still remember this vividly. You can like do a big ring. It's the equivalent of like click and drag. You
Hmm.
know, and these things like you can map. Like I was like, here's my D-pad up units and here's my D-pad down. There's all these shortcuts you can do, which are really nifty.
Hmm.
But it all boils down to throw some people. It's just doom stacks, you know. It's like here's my doom stack, and you just throw it at someone and they die, and
Zergum.
there's very little the AI can do to react to that. But what's so tragic about the game, what makes it notable to me, is that you can be the aliens, the predators, or the humans, and they're all completely different. They all have different maximum unit numbers. You can have,
Hmm.
you know, like the aliens are mostly melee, and they reproduce by face hugging people.
Hmm.
So the aliens are often individually quite weak, but they mass produce very quickly, and they have probably the most varied attacks because they have like melee, they have acid, they have face hugging, they have all these things, but they're also really weak to fire, except like one of them, which isn't. And then there's like a really fast one, and there's also almost all of them just knock people out, so they you can melee them. No, not melee them. Face hug them. But
Hmm.
then there's the one which just outright kills people, so he's really powerful. But if you want to actually reproduce, you can't really use him because he just kills everyone with his massive blades. And and then you've got the predators who have the fewest number of units, but they're individually really strong, and they can go invisible and they
Yeah.
can heal wherever they like, and they have like all sorts of cool abilities. Like there's the guys who go invisible and shoot you with bleeding darts, who are just OP as fuck. um, um, you got all these things, but they are like basically the predators are few but powerful, and then you've got the humans who, in some ways, are kind of an intermediary between the two.
Mm.
But they also have by far the most long-range weaponry, and they also have all the flamethrowers and things, which no one else. Most things are weak to fire, so
Yeah.
you can just pin people in the corner and flamethrower them from a distance, and they're fine. But there's just even little things like each faction reproduces differently. You know, the aliens face hug, the humans have to spend points to summon people from specific landing zones, and the predators have a mobile spawn point, but it's very slow.
Hmm.
So they all reproduce differently, and you have to use the alien queen as well to make it the eggs, which from their facehuggers come out. You can look in the game and it explains there's like a glossary explaining what each unit does and what's good and bad against, and it's so elaborate and so cool. I love the flamethrower guys, but then there's the aliens, which if they're set on fire, they actually explode.
Ooh.
So that's how you deal with flamethrower guys, is to send them in, and then there's the one human guys who are immune to face hugging, but if they're knocked out, they can be face hugged because like the RP explanation is that the face hugger has time when they're knocked out to rip their mask off,
Hmm.
and there's all these cool things. The predators, by the way, they get more XP points. They get some XP by killing people, but then they get more if they rip their skulls off as trophies and shout. They rip them off and then go, "Roo!" And that's
Hmm.
how you get XP. It's so cool. It's just so tragic that that system with the three factions
Yeah.
is tied to a console exclusive RTS.
Because that
With,
sounds
with
so cool, and there's
I
so much
know,
potential in
I
there for
know, I
sick,
know.
awesome gameplay.
Like the AI is awful. The missions are uninspired. The levels are almost entirely grey and maze-like.
Mm.
So many of the levels are just kind of wander around clearing the fog of war until an objective presents itself. And there's even just little things like how. Have you ever played a strategy game and it's just really obvious that the computer is playing a different game than you?
Oh yes.
Because, like, they clearly don't have any unit limits or XP.
Because the computer is clearly cheating, basically.
Yeah, like, because if the computer played by the same rules as you do in
Mm.
AVP, you would destroy them because
Yeah.
the AI sucks. So
Like
they
some of
have
the early
to.
Command and Conquer games were terrible for that.
Yeah, I guess it's the equivalent of how we like in some racing games, the AI rubber bands its speed to catch up with you
Mm.
because. I mean, well, I guess racing AI is easier than strategy AI, but
Uh,
This is a relevant, surprisingly relevant ramble I've gone on, but
Yeah, great. I'm
I,
gonna
I, I, oh yes,
steal your point about the glossary to
okay,
launch
okay.
into a point of my own about the glossaries, because that is one of the coolest and one of my favourite things about the Age of Empires and Age of Mythology games,
Ooh,
is their
yes.
glossaries that they have. Because in Age of Empires they have a glossary of terms, units and factions and everything, where they give you a historically accurate civilization overview. So taking the Aztecs as an example,
Okay.
it tells you like the history of the Aztec Empire in its glossary, and if you click on the individual units while you're in there, it tells you all about, say, the Jaguar warrior, and what was a Jaguar warrior, what did the symbols mean and all that, and it's a font of information, for people to learn about other cultures and stuff that came before. And in Age of Mythology there's a similar thing, but for religions. So you've got the Greek one with Zeus and all those bros, and you've got the Norse one, and you've got the Egyptian one, and you can click on all of them and it tells you about all the different gods, and they give you like stories about all the heroes that are in there, like Hercules for instance, or Perseus, and it gives you like tons of information about them, and it's so cool the lengths to which the games had been researched, and the way the developers wanted to put everything into it they possibly could, and it's what makes those games really really special, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just I want to kind of we can back and forth. Where I'm keeping Aliens versus Predator relevant, just because I think it might be one of my all-time like you're so close sort of games, where it's like if you could just if it was just an all-round crap game, I wouldn't care, no one would care.
Mm.
But because it's almost so great, it's frustrating. I was able to overlook so many of those problems for a long time because when you read all the biographies, it just kind of sold me on the idea of these factions, and it always got me like really getting into that. I love playing as the aliens because you really do feel like you're kind of setting up a nest and then sending out scouts, and you can drag not corpses, you drag bodies back to put facehuggers on them, because the facehuggers are really frail individually. It's often you can just drag them to the nest and then facehug them there. And it's like, oh, it's so good. What's there is so good. It's just I wish it was on PC.
Yeah.
I wish the AI wasn't awful. If they did an AVP2, it could be incredible, but it would have to be a PC port really for starters. But
Aye.
oh,
Great games, where the example of what makes them really really good is the fluff that the creators of the games have put in there, rather than the crunch. You know what another good game for all the fluff is? The Dawn of War games.
I know little of this, but tell me.
Because the Warhammer 40k Dawn of War universe is incredibly rich with stories and lore and information. There's
Heresy.
a lot of
that's
stuff
that's
going
all
on.
I know. That's all I know about Warhammer is people accusing others of heresy.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it's
go on,
basically
go on.
like Deus Vult plus 9.
Oh, okay.
Plus 10 even, in some cases. But the worlds that have been created by the communities and by the creators of the tabletop game itself, that has been ported on into video game format and on the PC especially so. Even though there have been some other great console games, like there was a Tau Fire Warrior FPS on the PS2, I think that was sick. I don't even know where I'm going with this, but oh yes, the glossaries, the lore, it's very 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 good, because the game itself, the mechanics of the Dawn of War games, I'm going to use like the first one, not Dawn of War 2, because that's a different kettle of fish entirely, because they're no longer stuck with strategy. But in the first game, the crunch itself was basically build one of every building, build 5 squads, research everything, and then go in a straight line to your objective, destroying everything on the way. Very little strategy involved in the Dawn of War games, few tactics afforded kind of thing. But they're so fun to play because of all the voice lines, all like the acting, the cutscenes, all the fluff, all the care that's been put into the information and like, world building is what makes that special. And what really, really, really got to me was they announced Dawn of War 3 recently, where they were going to go back to the gameplay style of Dawn of War 1, because Dawn of War 2 is more like you control a hero and it's just like a top-down, your guy kicking shit. Whereas it's not really build buildings, build a base, explore, exploit, all that crap. So they're going back to that. Great. But they're only focusing on 3 different races, and that really annoyed me, and that really disappointed me, actually. It didn't annoy me as such. It made me upset, because one of the best things about the first Dawn of War game, and all the expansions that came with it, and there were like 3 or 4 of them, was that each one added in a new race that played completely differently to all of the others. And the fascinating thing was the way that each race interacted with the other one on the battlefield and in cutscenes and behind the scenes in the stories. And so when they decided to cut it down from, I think, about 12 down to 3, I thought to myself, oh, that's disappointingly small. It's cutting down on a lot of... It's the opposite, in fact, of Sins of a Solar Empire Rebellion, where they added a load of factions, but they were just reskins. Because this time, they're going into a lot more detail with the models and the buildings and everything, but they've cut down the number of playable races by a huge amount.
Well, I mean, like AVP, there's only 3 races, but I guess for one thing, they have decades of multimedia lore behind them. Like, well, I guess I sound like I'm obsessed with this game, but I almost am, because they managed to make the aliens, the humans, and the predators all feel true to the source material, but they did just take that little bit of creative license to make a good video game out of it. Whereas, I'm pretty sure the big bladed aliens are just made up for the game. I've never heard of them anywhere else and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another cool one is the alien that can just it's basically a facehugger transport unit. It just has these spines that the facehuggers live off, because usually facehuggers can only survive a very short time outside of an egg. But if they get on this carrier thing, they can just walk around on this big carrier that protects them. And its special ability is to just cannonball all its facehuggers in a wide arc onto anyone nearby, and then when they die, they also just spew them everywhere. And it's like, oh, it's so cool, it's so cool, ooh, it's so cool. Yeah.
Pretty. I was just imagining that in my head, and it was pretty cool. Yeah. No, Command and Conquer games usually they only have 3 factions generally. Previously there were only 2 factions in the game. I'm not counting spin-offs like Command and Conquer Generals, but again there were only 3 factions in that, so haha, I might as well. But the problem is, imagine if in Alien versus Predator there were not 3 but 4 races, and they had that game come out, and all 4 of the races played really differently to one another, as in the game that you've been describing. But they made a second one, and the second one was everything you wanted. They ported it to the PC and everything, but they've cut it down to literally just the aliens and just the predators. They've gotten rid of the humans, and they've gotten rid of that other 4th race that we would have to make up for this particular example. But the game would feel so empty without the humans in it.
I know, the humans are simultaneously the most boring faction, but also kind of necessary for the...
See also the FPSs of the Alien games.
Yeah.
Where the humans are the really boring American hoo-ha grunts, go out and get yourselves face hugged.
I always enjoyed Yahtzee's review of Colonial Marines, and his description of playing co-op, the co-op campaign with someone, and just all the awkward, unintentional sexual tension because of the bad acting and strange pauses in the dialogue. And there was just the image of 4 heavily armored Marines cramming into a lift and then awkwardly standing there with their flamethrowers. While it's like, do 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 do.
Oh, I've had that with Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Vegas 2, I think it was. Where it was yeah, exactly. Playing co-op in that with a squad of buddies next to you, and you're just stuck in a lift, and everyone's going, so
you're in my spot.
Yeah. Oh fuck yeah, Spoonies, you're in my spot, sir.
That's a golden opportunity. I saw the chance. It had to be done.
You took it hard.
There's also the lesser known when you blow yourself up with a grenade. You fool! Oh god, Spoonie. So many precious memories. Oh my goodness! By the way,
Yeah.
this is like a public service announcement. There's nothing to do with what we're talking about. Not Saints Row 4. SWAT 4 is now on GOG
What?
and possibly other sites. It is actually finally. It was very frustrating because for years SWAT 3, which is vastly inferior, was available online, but SWAT 4 wasn't, presumably for some licensing issue. But now it is actually available online, and I'm surprised I haven't bought a copy yet because I was like, oh my god, SWAT 4. I could do a whole podcast about SWAT 4. 'Cause
There are some games that like I could talk about for fucking hours. Some series as well.
Snake Eater. And also SWAT 4.
I played the Phantom Pain recently, and it's so hard to keep up with the fucking timeline.
Phantom Pain story. You must have been playing the wrong game.
That's a good point. I was playing
Okay.
Metal Gear Solid 4 as well, and I was sat down watching it for most of the time. There wasn't much game in that at all.
Woohoo. We are not going on this tangent.
No, bad.
I will just throw in though. I do love. It seems very Kojima to me that even if you'd played all the other Metal Gear games, you might still be confused by Phantom Pain because it follows. I suppose Ground Zeroes technically. It follows on from the secret 100% completion ending of like one of the more obscure PSP Metal Gear games.
Fucking what?
So you have to play one of the PSP games no one knows about and get the 100% completion secret ending because it's directly from that ending which MGS5 then follows on from, and you'll have no idea who characters like Paz are otherwise. Well, I mean, you might know who the characters are, be like, why are we here? How did we get here? Nothing. But we're not talking about that anymore.
No, bad. Real-time strategy games and turn-based strategy games.
Bad.
Games.
Games. Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
just in our very hippity hop, I say hip hop, but I don't understand. In our very back and forth, jumping all over the place conversation style, I want to talk about Total War.
I'll jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie the beat.
Can I just say
What?
the Pope?
Pope.
I want to.
The
I just want
fucking
to.
Pope.
I just want to go on record as saying fuck the Pope because just my tombstone. Fuck the Pope. No, because the Pope in Medieval 2 is like, oh, you're being effective at combat, are you? Oh, can't have that. I'm just gonna. It's like, I swear sometimes even if you're the one who got attacked originally, fighting back seems to annoy the Pope. I'm like, what is... It's like, oh, you know what, I'm going to get excommunicated deliberately just to bloody mess with you.
Right.
Actually, no, I haven't actually... sorry, unless you're about to say something relevant to that.
I was going to rant on about the Pope in a different game, so you go first.
Okay. We're gonna unintentionally. Oh my God, SWAT 4 was only £8. Just saying. I was googling that while we were talking. So good.
You're in my spot, sir.
I was gonna say that's the conversation talking. You're in my spot. So it's like we're talking about strategy games here. SWAT 4. You're in my spot. Get out of here. It's a good joke. What are we talking about? Total War.
I was
Popes.
waiting for you to do your thing.
Oh, okay, Popes. No. No, Total War. You know, one of my main issues with Total War is it kind of has that Sins of a Solar Empire problem where you can be diplomatic, you can do trade and alliances and stuff, but they're kind of only there to serve war, really. You know what I mean? Even more so in Sins, possibly. But, well, for one thing, it's called Total War. It's not called Total War is an option. Total War and also, well, even Total War and also other things.
Total diplomacy.
Action. Total War and all that jazz. You know, I mean, also just even the fact. Correct me if I'm wrong. In Medieval 2, I think there's kind of there's basically a time limit. So many turns. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think you've only got 3 rounds to beat the Iron Juggernaut.
Yeah, I'd really like. Wait, what are you talking about?
I was talking about Medieval 2.
Mm.
With Sir Daniel Fortescue.
I see what you did there. I just realised what I'm surprised it took you this long to make some sort of reference to
I
medieval.
was waiting to see if I could just slip it in there without you noticing, and it nearly worked for a second because your brain
No.
kind of went backwards and went, "Hang on,
Biscuit.
what?"
Biscuit. No means no. Okay. No.
No,
No.
no.
Um. What was I talking about?
You're talking about the time limit in Medieval 2.
Yes. Okay. I'll ask you a serious question. Is there actually a
There
turn
is,
limit?
yes. There is a time limit. When you get to a certain year, the game just ends.
That always bothers me because imagine you're playing Civ and there just gets to turn 100 and no matter what's happening, the game just ends and
I think it's like
decides, oh, you
1680
win.
something.
You know, it's like, to my knowledge, there is not an option without actually like, going into an INI file somewhere. I don't think you can just turn that off within the game.
Mm.
And there's other things like it gives you explicit win conditions. It says you can play a short game or a long one. It says take over this many things, including England, usually. Yeah, it has. You have to destroy a certain faction and have this many cities. That's right. And I wish it was more open-ended than that because I love that. My ridiculous attempts to conquer Europe as Scotland.
Mm.
I wish it was more open-ended. Like, Actually, by the way, there's a strangely fascinating video I found. The actual video itself looks terrible. It's just like this really horrible pixelated picture that has like a map of Europe and all the things keep changing color.
Mm-hmm.
But it's this huge multiplayer game of Medieval 2 over like 300 turns or something.
Mm.
And it's got like 12 players or something ridiculous. And each start as different factions. And then the video goes on for like 5 minutes of like sped up. All the different territories change color depending who's owning them.
Mm.
And it's just really fascinating to see, like, oh god, there's a little kind of Scottish empire forming over here, okay. And then France seems to be fighting there. And then, there's some the Byzantines coming in over here. And I love how I was just reminded of that because that's almost like the strategy game thrill in a nutshell. Is like that sense of like you kind of get that sense of personalities of characters of like, oh, there's the looming threat from the east over there, and oh, here's me, and I'm doing all right, and oh, the Irish rebelling or something.
I get that as well from like in Age of Empires you can watch back. There's an option to like record your game as you play it, and when you watch it back, you can watch it back with everybody being able to see everybody on the map essentially. And it's great fun watching the way that different players play the game and all that. So some people will focus on an archer-heavy combination, and then there's this asshole here that's just like mangonels. I'm gonna stack 50 catapults and demolish my way through the trees to get to them.
Where does Wololo fit into all this?
Wololo is if you have priests, because Wololo is the sound they make when they convert other units. They kind of go Wololo, and like it became an insult in the chat at some point, and someone recorded like a voice actor went Wololo, and that's just one of the numerical insults you can send other people. Because there are lots of shortcuts in the chat in Age of Empires. So like if you type in 1 and you press that, you go yes. 2 is no. You got food, please. Wood, please. Wololo. And like the insults get like progressively stupider and stupider through. It
sounds like Dark Souls.
It's so good.
who I always like to think there was some person when Dark Souls 2 came out who was the first person to realise that you could say butt and hole next to each other, and they were like just this. It's like that bit in 2001: A Space Odyssey where he's like. The entire universe shooting in front of him.
The first one to put 2 and 2 together with Guinevere and amazing chest ahead.
Amazing chest ahead.
Amazing.
I came up. I've never seen this done anywhere else. I was quite proud of try-plunging attack. I thought that was quite clever. I thought that was different because most of them
don't give up skeleton in Dark Souls 2.
Listen carefully, skeleton. That's my personal favourite. I laughed for about 20 minutes of that. I don't know why I found that so funny. It was a slightly different tact they took.
Try butthole, skeleton.
Anytime any character is bending over, you can just guarantee what all the messages are about.
Oh yes. I don't know how far. I'm not gonna. No, hang on. No, I was gonna say something about 3, but you've not finished it yet, so I'm gonna keep you spoiler free. And launch back into strategy games. It's great fun to see how other people play the games. Like, especially when you're one of the people in that game, you can see yourself going, "Oh, I should have moved my people over there. Oh, I should have. Oh dear, there goes half my base. But also
Yeah.
the whole of that guy's base, because my army's over there. Haha.
Mhm.
Oh, I don't know like how relevant this particular tactic is in other strategy games, but hiding one fucking villager in the corner of the map behind a tree where no fucker can spot them, even with spies and being able to see everyone on the map, is fucking infuriating, because you can drag a game out for 8
Oh, do you
hours
mean
while
you
you're
have to
looking for that one
you have
last
to
guy.
kill every unit, do you? So even a villager.
Well, one villager can rebuild an entire empire.
Uh,
Because one villager
That's
can build a
inspiring.
town centre, which can build more villagers, which can collect resources and blah blah blah
oh
blah
my
blah.
goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay.
But
Can we?
you can do the same
Yeah.
with fishing ships as well.
Oh,
You
okay.
can hide a fishing ship, especially if you're the blue player. That's a dick move.
Oh, I see. I see. Well, unless there's some lava around. Okay.
Yes.
Semi-serious question.
Yep.
Lego Rock Raiders.
Fucking yes.
I
Yeah.
feel like in my heart that is more of a simulation management-y game than a strategy game. Really. In fact, I'm pretty sure it is. But let's talk about it because I don't give a crap.
Let's talk about Rock
right?
Raiders because it's a fucking amazing game. It's one of my all-time favourites.
It is genuinely, surprisingly legit.
Yeah. Weirdly. And I hate the fact that Lego don't like give up their licensing, so nobody can fix it basically to make it run on newer systems. Because I can get it to run on my laptop running Windows 10, but good God, was it a ball ache trying to get it to run.
I seem to recall it works fine on 7, but I know that'll only
Kind
be
of.
valid
It
tactics
doesn't play
on-
some of the cutscenes in 7.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
But
Oh, do we
cutscenes
count
are
Black and
great.
White as a strategy game?
That was the other one I was gonna. I think Black and White is actually almost closer to it.
Black and White 2, certainly.
Oh God, I could. Let's wrap up the Lego Rock Raiders
Yeah,
conversation.
Rock
quickly,
Raiders
okay.
first, and then we'll talk about Black and
Rock
White.
Raiders, as the title suggests, you mine. There's not as much crafting, but you mine rocks mainly, and then there's monsters that come out and attack you.
A new
And-
cavern has been discovered.
And it created 1,000 running jokes between me and my friends because of the cheesy voice acting.
Oh.
You know, like for some reason, probably because it's a kids game. Every time if you hover over anything in that
Powerpuff.
game,
Teleport pack.
and one of
Kureshu. Oh, stop.
that was a good one.
Louder down there.
Kureshu. I remember all these things so vividly. I used to get very excited if I found an obscure menu option I hadn't found before, so I get to hear someone saying visual settings or something. Actually, I did find that once. There's a video from me of just me dumping all the audio files I'd found. It's like 40 minutes of random characters going like moving rock raiders and drilling. Greetings there, rock raider. Oh, the chief guy is by far the best. But,
Oh God, yes.
I love how he just comes down on the screen, a little Lego man with a helmet on, and he waves his arms around and goes, "Hello, I'm the chief." It's just like
Now
this-
click
this-
on the flashing get icon.
But we haven't explained what the game is at all. It's like a little resourcey management sort of game where you get teleported into a. Every level you have to sort of collect so many power crystals, which are like buried somewhere in the level, and you have to drill through walls in order to find all the energy crystals. But you have to worry about things like running out of oxygen and being attacked by monsters, and there's these slugs that steal your energy.
Because the
And-
setting is basically beneath the crust, like inside the crust of an alien planet. So you're completely underground the whole time. You're in caverns, and that's where the running out of air aspect comes into it. And the goal of most levels is to collect a certain amount of energy crystals and then bugger off. But buildings cost energy crystals to build and maintain. So like vehicles cost energy crystals to teleport in from your orbiting ship that's in the space. And there are rock monsters which like to smash up your buildings because they eat energy crystals, and they're a finite resource. There's only a certain amount of them in any given level, with the exception of the last level, which is boss. And so if rock monsters eat the crystals, or there are things called slimy slugs which drain energy crystals, and you need to find a special piece of undrillable wall to recharge them, and that's a pain in the ass, but so good.
I would love. I suppose you'll probably tell me it's called Dungeon Keeper, but if someone made Rock Raiders, but like without that child difficulty level,
Mm.
because there is, if you're an adult with adult reasoning skills, there's actually very little challenge in that game. But I do love that, like moving out and drilling, and like there's
It's mostly
landslides and
exploring
shit.
than anything else.
Yeah, like especially there's only like 3 kinds of weapons, and it's no challenge to figure out. There's
For a
like
second,
an
I thought you
ice
were going to go, there are only 3
monster,
types of rock, and I was going to go through, like, dirt,
dirt,
loose rock, hard
solid
rock.
rock. It sounds like someone listing out like musical genres, isn't it? Loose rock, hard rock,
Dirt.
solid rock,
Power
dirt.
path.
Okay, I think we lost it there. But
But yeah,
it's good.
Exploration, great fun, amazing. Dungeon Keeper, by the way, completely different strategy game. Fucking love it.
It is more of a strategy game.
Yes.
It is one of those things where it's like slightly too complicated for me. I need to try it again.
Dungeon Keeper 2.
What's Dungeon Keeper 2 in comparison?
Better than Dungeon Keeper 1. Some things have been simplified, like the game mechanics were changed a little bit between 1 and 2. And the multiplayer for Dungeon Keeper 2 is a lot better than Dungeon Keeper 1.
I have a fun story about Dungeon Keeper. I ended up playing it because the outrage over Dungeon Keeper Mobile was so much. I went, I wonder what all this fuss is about Dungeon Keeper, and I went and got the original, and I went, oh, I see, it's actually quite good.
Oh, I
can
grew up
see-
with Dungeon Keeper and Dungeon Keeper 2.
And because it highlighted how incredibly shit Dungeon Keeper Mobile was, that you could go on GOG
Mm.
and buy an entire game of the original Dungeon Keeper for like £3, and Dungeon Keeper Mobile wanted you to spend that amount of money to dig like 20 tiles. It's like such a monumentally shit alternative in comparison to just buying the old games.
By the way,
Which
everyone,
for all
the
I-
gimmick
oh,
for
yeah.
Dungeon Keeper is that you play as the bad guys.
Oh yeah, and it's very entertaining.
Very, very, like, the chap in number 2, Horny, he's great.
I think my favourite part from what I played was just that you have, it's almost like the ongoing politics between the monsters in your dungeon.
Mm.
Like, different kinds of monsters don't like to live next to each other. It's almost like there's a Star Trek episode I watched just like that. Where
Different
there's
monsters
two
are racist against other monsters, but everybody
know.
hates the dwarves.
Yeah, it's the idea you're trying to like mine through and like do this fight against these guys who are trying to invade your dungeon, but almost your own monsters are your own worst enemy because they keep getting into civil wars with each other.
I can't remember if you can do it in Dungeon Keeper 1, but in Dungeon Keeper 2 you can slap your monsters.
Yes, no, in 1 you slap them to speed them up.
You can slap them if they're misbehaving in 2, and that'll sort them out as well.
Speak of slapping misbehaving things, that's a wonderful segue into Black and White. Hey!
Oh, very, very true. Black and White!
Black and White, once again, we are blurring, we are greying the boundaries between Black and White here, because there's the strategy and the simulation, and where does the line lie? Who knows? Where does the boundary? It's grey. It's not black and white. It's grey.
I think the line is Black and White is a simulation, but Black and White 2 is a strategy game.
Well, it's
Because Black
Okay.
and White 2 is
Okay.
the focus is less on the god and the miracles and getting everybody happy and satisfied, and more on building up your base, building an army, and then going out and
yeah. It's
giving
really,
Johnny Blue Team what for.
For a long time, I couldn't put my finger on what it was that was wrong with Black and White 2, and then I saw a very excellent review, most excellent review, which put it into good words. Oh my god, I'm a creative writing.
Then I'm a linguist.
graduate.
What are we doing?
Look, what it said was, Black and White is like, it kept a lot of its systems hidden from you. So it's like, you're trying to teach the creature how to cast a spell, and he just walks over there and takes a dump, and you're like, no, don't do that, I want you to learn spells.
Slap, slap, slap.
It was frustrating, but there was a certain, like, if you just applied a certain degree of common sense, you could get him to do what you want just by rewarding him at the right moments. But then in Black and White 2, they show you all the graphs and all the things, and at any time you can just pick a subject and say, okay, creature, do that more, and it'll show you the bar going one way or the other, depending on whether you tell them to do it more or less.
Yeah, you can go, okay, creature, stand in the middle of my town and juggle for
And
a
it's
week solid until you get good.
And it was like, well, even simple things like the fact that you can just upgrade your creature, like, oh, he's better at fighting now because I spent points to get an upgrade. And I'm like, in any other game I wouldn't question that, but in Black and White, the charm of the creature in Black and White 1 is that he's like a little pet who you can, if you're patient, you can train him to do things and be a really great little avatar of yourself on the world. But in Black and White 2, they make it so much easier to do that, and they make it so transparent what he's doing and for what reason, that it becomes completely boring.
Should we
like
introduce what Black and White and Black and White 2 is quickly?
That's a good idea. You do it.
Black and White is a game where you play as a god. It's called Black and White because you can either be good, you can be a good god, you can be benevolent, and give your...
Renegade or Paragon.
Yeah, you can be evil, you can be a dick and sacrifice people to you, for the greater good, as it were. You have your manifestation on the planet, which is your creature, which is like a dumb puppy. It's great. You can teach your creature, to be either good or evil as well. Like, it can eat villagers, or it can, water the crops, kind of thing. Great fun. And the game
pooing on the crops is actually really good, by the way. That actually fertilizes them.
Yeah,
the funniest part is when he poos on the crops, and then like someone accidentally is too close, and it's like, oh no, the poo! They fall over as they get hit by the poo. It's
the sailors in Black and White.
Oh, the sailors. Far too much effort went into those songs.
They ain't going nowhere till they get some meat.
Yes.
So but yeah, so the tagline
We've all been there.
Discover who you really are, I think is what it was.
Oh, incidentally, the whole good and evil gimmick. I don't think I've ever seen another game where you could reverse the box sleeve. The physical box. You could reverse the sleeves. You get like a black cover or a white cover.
Yeah, it was
good
so
and evil.
good. How do you play those games, by the way? Are you a good god or are you an evil god?
Well, interestingly, back in the day, because I was an edgelord and I thought the world was a grim, dark future where there was only war, I always used to play the edgelord attempt of being evil, and I always took it far too seriously. But then these days, maybe it's because I'm old now, at the ripe old age of 24, but I seem to slow down, and I like the satisfaction of building a little town and getting all these peasants to come immigrate over here so I can accuse them of stealing our healthcare. Topical.
Hey.
No, I like they make a lovely town and they come across and say, "Can we come in your town?" And I go, "Oh, yes."
Oh, go on.
And then they come in there, and then they're productive members of society, and it's great. But then, what was the question?
How do you play good or evil?
I tend to be good these days just because it feels less gimmicky to be like, oh, I'm cartoonishly evil for no reason.
Cartoonishly evil is the best kind.
But like, there's something simple like there's no real reason to tell your creature will be happy eating either grain or people, but practically there's no real reason to tell him to eat people, really, unless you just want to do that to make him evil. There's no practical benefit in doing it. I guess even eating enemy villages isn't really beneficial. Oh, and they got rid of... Didn't they get rid of the whole system? In Black and White 1, there's this whole thing where you can impress villagers into believing in you.
Oh, no, that's still in the second one.
Is it?
In fact, that's if you play a good god in the second game, that's basically all you do, is you build up your city in such a way that it's so impressive that everybody else wants to live
But you
there.
know what I mean? It's all about your city in number 2,
Yeah.
whereas in 1 it was about
The
making them
miracles.
believe in you with
Yeah.
miracles. Like, look at my impressive creature, look at me throw a rock into your house. It's impressive, believe in me. You know.
What? Believe in me because my creature is currently creating food out of thin air and dumping it into your storeroom.
Yeah. Shit like that.
Interestingly, I played. I've always, like when I was younger and now, I play as a good god, very benevolent.
Good God.
Exactly, very benevolent. I do my best for my people. It's great fun, but I have like the most evil ass creature fucking possible, and
That's
my
interesting.
creature is the warmongering bastard. He's the stick,
Oh.
and my miracles and myself, I'm the carrot. And
That's
if the
actually quite
believers
clever.
don't want to believe in me throwing rocks over their village, then my creature will throw rocks at the village.
I like it. Plausible deniability. Could have been anyone. Just because I was preaching hate speech didn't mean they had to go and act on it. God.
Yeah, my
you know.
creature's got just as much free will as you guys. It's not my fault he just summoned a fireball and threw it at your town centre.
I guess it's like I have so when I think of Black and White 1, this has just turned to a Black and White podcast now. We'll probably move on to something else soon.
Mm.
But when I think of Black and White 1, I think of like sitting near my temple, watching them all dance around, be like, yeah, they're worshipping me. I'm a badass god.
And then
You know, 'cause they-
raising the quota of how many people you want dancing around it until everybody's complaining that they're dying of hunger
I know.
and thirst and they want babies, but they must dance for your enjoyment. Dance, monkeys, dance!
And if anyone who starts starving to death, I just sacrifice them on the altar. Like, there we go. Amusingly, I believe you can sacrifice recently deceased corpses
You
on
can
the
also
altar.
sacrifice children.
And children, you get extra points for
You get
kids.
extra
actually.
evil points for that.
You can also sacrifice trees,
You can,
which gets you like 10 points.
because they're technically living things.
Yeah. I just imagine you spilling sap all over the altar, like, you monster, these trees were my friends. Brilliant. But then Black and White 2, I think of like, oh, I guess I'll tell my soldiers to kill that now. Or, oh, my creature is 50% better at being a soldier now.
Mm.
It's like, they introduce more systems, but because they're so transparently gamey, it just didn't have the same charm of like, you know, Black and White is janky fun, and I feel like, yeah, I'm gonna teach my creature not to poo on people, and I'm gonna.
Or I'm going to
gonna-
teach my creature to poo on houses because it's fun.
It is very funny. Also, I swear, like, almost the first game is almost prettier than the second one. I think, but I
No,
think I must
kind
be
of agree.
I must be imagining that really, but I think that says a lot. That's how I remember it, because I spend so much time being like, oh, what a lovely sunrise of my beautiful village in the first game, and then the second one I'm like, must construct additional pylons. You know, it's like,
Yeah. I think for
The
me the
smelters.
difference was because I've always played a good god, that's always relied on impressing people to win, basically. And it's the
smashing
difference
houses is
between
impressive.
the villagers you're impressing having an active or a passive role. In Black and White 1, I would go out to the villagers and I would like cast healing miracles on them when they were sick, and I'd give them food and water, and then, you know, eventually they'd come round and be like, hey, we love you, you're great, we'll come into your sphere of influence now. Whereas in
I
Black and White
love
2,
the
it was...
chosen one, not as much as me. I love him with my heart, I love him with my body parts. Go on.
Whereas Black and White 2, it was construct walls like a huge way away from where your starting place is. Put archers on the walls to
Yes.
dissuade your opponents, and then focus on building like the biggest, prettiest Greek-style city that you could possibly come up to, the extent where you would have houses with gardens and little roads, and you would place all the lampposts and shit yourself, and the villagers would just come to you. You wouldn't have to worry about anything but focusing on your base, and then, until you get the siren miracle, and then you
Oh,
just
yeah.
like go over to them, you plonk it in the middle of their
Pretty naked blue lady.
entire town, and
It was
everyone
actually
goes,
faintly creepy because of the
look
music.
look at the titties on that one, and they'd all float into the air and then join you.
I'm just the way you said that. I'm reminded of a Simpsons scene where it's Mr. Burns. He's just gone and watched a movie, and he's like, "It was utter trash. Oh, it was this and it was this and this, and there was this lady who had her knockers out, and oh, you can just imagine the plebs eating it up, like oh, big tits, oink 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 oink." This is a paraphrase, you know.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
goes like oink oink oink, give me more oink oink oink, and they just smash cuts to Homer and his friends. Just talking, and he goes, and then she had these huge boobs. Oink, 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 oink. That's how you sound right now.
Yes.
Wink.
Basically, it's like Black and White 2. The two biggest miracles are either volcano in the middle of the enemy's base or amazing chest ahead.
Yes. Oh god, the volcano miracle was hilarious. Just
Oh, where
I
did all
mean-
this lava come from?
when you get bored of Black and White 2, it is fun to get a cheat mod that lets you just have infinite mana and stuff, and just spawn infinite volcanoes everywhere until your game crashes.
And that was the best thing about Sim City as well. Going on to the management-y side things.
Yeah.
Once you've built up your city, and then you just give yourself cheats for infinite volcanoes and robots.
Okay. I have a SimCity story actually. I assume everyone knows what SimCity is basically. It's
Yeah.
like
Build a city.
it's like, you know, you build a city and all the little AC/DC symbols appear over the houses when they don't have power, and all
Where they
that's
don't have
good.
enough rock.
Yeah, and then they came out with SimCity, the DRM city as I call it, and it was a piece of shit. And anyone who pre-ordered it was an idiot. Anyway,
Yup.
what was it? Yeah, because this was like 4 years ago, but I'm still salty about it because we knew like a year before the game came out it had that DRM. Everyone knew, and only like a year before there'd been the Diablo 3 debacle with the bloody DRM. Anyway, even more so with like Arkham Knight. Anyone who pre-ordered Arkham Knight after Arkham City was a bit of a mess. Not Arkham City, Arkham Origins.
Yeah, Origins.
City's a good one. I keep forgetting Origins exists. Is that unmemorable?
Oh, isn't it?
They didn't include it in that trilogy box set. That was hilarious to me. That it's a trilogy now.
Firefly. Who the fuck is that? Fuck it.
We don't talk about. Ironically, that was one of the better parts of Origins. Actually, was with that one boss fight. That's one of the only things I remember vividly.
Oh, the Mr. Freeze boss fight in City though.
Oh, City. Oh, it's so good. Oh, so good. Anyway, what are we talking about?
You had a story about Sim City.
Oh, not Arkham City, Sim City. We could do a superhero games podcast. That'd be good.
Totally.
No. What are we talking about? No,
Superman
Sim
64.
City.
No.
Okay. Sim City 4. Because you said 4, that threw me off. Sim City 4. I'm not very good at Sim City, right? Everything I do seems to plunge me into debt. When I first played Sim City 4, I was like, I'm going to be the best mayor ever. I'm going to build paradise on Earth. We're going to have solar power. We're going to have cinemas. We're going to have private limos for everyone. It will be
It's gonna be
great.
sick.
There's going to be blackjack and hookers.
Everything.
Brilliant. Within like one in-game year, I was horribly in debt. Everything was wrong. I couldn't figure out why none of my ambulances were going to the people who were dying and all this stuff. I was like, what have I done wrong? It's terrible. And I said, fuck it. Trump care for everyone. Everyone dies. I don't care. I started up again, and I just created a new city, and I was like, this is going to be hell on earth. All I did was I put everyone lives in a slum. Everyone works in a coal factory. Everyone, like, you got a hospital, deal with it. You know, there's like a tree that's covered in soot
Here is your
outside.
nature.
outside the single hospital, which is next to the school, which is like dying of radiation poisoning or something. And I made tons of money. I made so much money, I didn't know what to do with it. Everyone lived until they were 30 and lived a tiresome, horrible, grueling North Korea experience working in my coal mines.
Whoa there.
But I was making so much money, I didn't know what to do with it. So I just kind of sped up the game for a few years, and I was like, you know, maybe if I do this for like 200 years, I can then karmically balance myself out by spending all that money creating the utopia I couldn't do before. And then I was bored and I quit the game.
I thought, and then I was bored, so I switched on to the God management screen and just fucked everything up.
That's true too, but that would have taken more effort.
You also like another weird like a city planner type game. I remember playing when I was a lot younger. It was one of the Lego games that they had on the PC. It was called Lego Loco.
Yes, barely a management game, but yes.
Yeah, where you would just try and make like a functioning train system, and it was like management for babbies.
The best part of that game was all the weird little like. I probably spent 50 hours of my life sending letters to myself just because I enjoyed writing messages and then sticking stickers all over the postcard. And also all the weird little Easter eggs that happened when you stuck specific buildings together. And watching the trains go around and crash into each other and
so
the
good.
untold
set like
chaos.
Building pens for different people.
Yeah.
And putting them in the pens. It was good.
I thought
I do that in Roller Coaster Tycoon as well, actually. I have my
I need to get into Roller Coaster Tycoon properly. I've got number 3, and I really think I'll enjoy it. I just lack the patience.
So good. You should, give it a shot. Like, sit down for an hour or so and just be like, I'm gonna play Roller Coaster Tycoon. By the way,
Roller Coaster Tycoon World is apparently complete gobshite.
Yes, it is.
And came out almost exactly the same time as what's it called? Planet Coaster, which by every account is the vastly better game. Atari, the modern day Atari company, sucks balls, like Morty in that Rick and Morty short.
Oh yes,
sucks balls. Don't do it. Don't be a Morty.
I have my Isle of Bitches in Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Isle of Bitches.
Which this needs a little bit of explanation. You get the landscaping tool, and you dig like a massive crater, and then one tile in the middle you bring back up to surface level, and you just fill that crater with water. Literally anybody who complains in your park, you pick them up and you put them on that island. Every now and then you just do like a purge type thing where you sink the island and everybody drowns, and then you bring it back up again.
So you turn Roller Coaster Tycoon into black and white. I'm impressed by that.
Basically.
Reminds me of that iPhone game where you're a little god and you just pick people up and throw them off the side of the planet.
And there are some roller coasters which are like death coasters, and you have like a no entry sign on the back of the queue, so once they enter the queue they can't leave the queue.
Yes, I do remember watching about 700 episodes of Nerdcubed plays Roller Coaster 3.
Oh god, yeah, Nerdcube played it, didn't he?
I was like, I've never seen someone make something so entertaining out of just screwing around with a Lego set, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like, today I'm gonna build this slide that's like 200 miles long. I'm like, oh, that's exciting.
I always run out of fucking money in it though. That's my problem.
I like how
as well. Good game.
I like how your save file in Roller Coaster Tycoon can get so big that it actually corrupts. Which is a bit of an oversight, really, but
unless you play the the campaign maps, which are of a very specific size.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever play Banished?
No.
Banished came out a few years ago. Hey, somewhat topical. It's only a few years old, as opposed to like 20 years old.
Yeah, it's not that old, Roller Coaster.
Whatevs. The shitty one came out like just last year.
Exactly.
There you go. Banished is like, we just seem to be on the management thing now. I don't care. I often lump them together. I like a lot of management games because they're like generally less stressful.
Except Cook Serve Delicious, but that's a beast in its own right.
Anywho,
Banished.
It's called Banished because the concept is that you're a bunch of people who've been exiled into the wilderness. So imagine just like a sort of medievalish time period, and you're just a bunch of guys with a wagon, and you have to set up in the forest and set up a little village. And it's really quite interesting because it's like, okay, you've got this much stuff, make a house for people to live in, and make like a carpenter place, and get some fishermen down in that river. But it's all about the resource management. It's about, this will take so long to build. I've only got 10 people, and everyone has to be doing something. And if they're doing one thing, they're not doing something else. Do we have enough food? Do we have enough wood? Do we have enough wood that's been chopped into firewood? Do we have enough? Do we? And it's not. It's basically it's all in seasons. You have to. It starts in summer and spring, and you have to prepare for the winter because in winter you can't get as much shit done. Everyone gets sick all the time. Everyone's freezing to death if they don't have proper clothes on. If you haven't prepared, winter will just kill off half your village. It's really fun to kind of like be the classic mistake you'll make when you first play Banished is like, this is easy. I'm just going to chop down all these trees and kill all these deer and get all these fish and make all these houses. And then you realise that you do really well for like 5 years maybe, and then you realise you've killed all the trees, you've killed all the deer, you've created more. Your people really happy with all their houses, so they made loads of kids who now need feeding. And you're like, oh shit, I've run out of everything. This is like humanity, the game microcosm, and now everything's just gone to shit. And it's the best and worst part of that game because the only way to get anywhere seems to be to very slowly expand. And it's fun figuring that out, but I have this sort of game I can only play like once every few months because it's quite repetitive once you figure out that you kind of have to just do things very slowly. And also you don't just suddenly die like in FTL or something. It becomes apparent that you're fucked, and then it takes a very long time for your village to actually die.
Oh, that's the best kind of like game over.
Yeah, but it's actually just like you're kind of, you can see that you're going to run out of food, and you can't really recover from that. But it'll take literal in-game years for you to eventually run out of food, so you might as well just restart, really. It's a bit frustrating. And you can also get weird problems like maybe you've got enough houses, but there aren't any spare ones, so everyone ends up living with their parents, and as a result they don't want to bonk as much, so there aren't kids being born.
Understandable.
And then once everyone's too old, they can't reproduce anymore and everyone dies, and you're always running out of something in Banished. And I had a lot of fun with my time with it, but it is just kind of, it's not as pick up and go as something like Theme Hospital.
Hey!
I suppose I'm getting the impression you haven't actually played Banished, so you might not have any opinion on it.
I've not really played it, no.
Oh, okay. I must have imagined I was talking to you about it once upon a time then. We play Theme Hospital though. That's really good.
I have played Theme Hospital. It's fun.
I've never finished it actually.
Me neither.
Because I think
I've played a lot of it, but I've never finished it.
It has a repetition problem, but I love the concept. I love the comedy.
The comedy is what keeps me going in it.
It's so pick up and playable. It's so immediately understandable what you have to do, but there are intricacies of like, where do I put the GP office? Where do I put the toilets? It's just frustrating things like the janitors constantly going on strike, and
the little shits.
Yeah, they're not cleaning up enough shit. The little shits.
Aha!
You got things like the bloody. I love just sending people to the research lab, and they just apparently get eaten by the research machine, and you learn things as a result. And I feel like Theme Hospital probably becomes very stressful later on, but I've never quite reached that point.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, there's something to be said for like just a game where you just build an efficient little thing and it just ticks over.
Prison Architect is a beautiful example of that.
I mean, I'm curious to try that because it is.
It's great. It's literally build a really cool prison.
Yeah.
And then just watch as people try breaking out, but they can't because you built it really well. So make sure that you get the plumbing and the electrics right because it's really funny. It's bad if the prisoners like can't shower, but it's really funny when they go into the shower room and they're like, "Oh, we can't shower," and they just stand there complaining when they should be showering in nothing.
This sounds an awful lot like Orange is the New Black, though. It's just I like how the shower.
If anything, it's like Prison Break, I reckon.
Well, it's just the shower always seemed to be the cause of all the plot points in Orange. There's no good way to shorten that title. Orange is the new black. I guess you just call it Orange.
Yeah.
Orange.
You call it the American presidency.
Hey.
Go! Video flagged.
Fake news. This podcast is fake news. I'm sorry. We
It's
shouldn't get
huge.
political. Huge.
We're allowed to be political. No, we're not.
We have the best podcast. It's the best. Everyone tells me it's so much better than Obama's podcast. I'm so sorry, but it's just too easy. It just writes itself. Jurassic Park, Operation Genesis. I want to know how that compares to Prison Architect. Because when you said about things breaking out...
it compares quite well to Zoo Tycoon. Especially because like there are secret animals in Zoo Tycoon, and they're dinosaurs. Fucking sick.
Badass. Well, wasn't there literally a dinosaur expansion pack, or am I completely imagining that?
I can't remember. I hope it's true, but you might be imagining it.
Maybe it's an unrelated zoo game.
Maybe. I don't know. But what would you call Stardew Valley and by extension Harvest Moon? Like farming simulators, but they're nothing like Farming Simulator. But they're also management things, and they're similar to in the winter everything's fucked if you don't prepare for it because you can't grow anything in the winter, and so all your animals die if you haven't stockpiled up on grass.
Interesting.
What do you reckon? I don't know. Have you played much of either of those things?
Well, what were these things?
Harvest Moon is like the wider one that stopped a while ago. And then the newest one is Stardew Valley.
Stardew Valley, I really should try that because
You
everyone
should,
tells me I'd
it's so
like it.
good.
Oh god.
I've got over 100 hours on it.
I should watch someone play it or something just to know. Just to kill the suspense. I want to talk about Jurassic Park, Operation Genesis. If that's allowed.
Yeah, there was a dinosaur expansion for Zoo Tycoon
I knew it!
called Dinosaur Digs.
Dinosaur dicks.
Hey!
Dinosaur. That's what I thought you said.
Dino Dicks.
I think you'll find they have a cloaca. Anyway. I'll shrivel your cloaca. Jurassic Park Operation Genesis is the inevitable Jurassic Park game where you manage Jurassic Park as a park builder game. And it's really good.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh no, we can only research a crappy dinosaur at the start, so people pay like $200 to get flown to your private island, and then they're just greeted by like this little herbivore dinosaur that shuffles around and then dies after 3 months. And it's like, this was worth the money.
But then the weather hits you and everything's fucked.
I think let's just call it Operation Genesis. I think the problem with it is just what's there is great. It's just they needed to flesh it out more. Like
And put it on the PC.
Oh, well, it is on PC.
After it's been fleshed out.
Oh, I see. That's what the modding scene is, I imagine. Anyway, point is.
Yes.
Point is, I love the core conceit of managing the park, and you have to make all the guests happy. I think the issue with it is there's only a few things that can go wrong. And it's like, the big one is hurricanes. A hurricane will come in and completely lay waste to your park. Seemingly, I genuinely think there seems to be something in the programming where it makes it just home in on dinosaurs. Because it always seems to just unleash all your most dangerous dinosaurs. Or kill them, at least. So you have to like put everyone in a state of emergency and get all the visitors to a shelter. And then there's a hurricane. But then you just unleash your helicopter to like tranquilize all the dinosaurs and then put them away, so that's fine. But then there's diseases, which is like, oh no, there's a disease killing all my dinosaurs, but then I'll just research it and it never comes back again. I think the game has a real problem where, you know, things can go wrong, but it's actually very hard to actually lose. I don't think I've ever lost a game of Genesis because it's just I think you have to go like $5,000 in the red or something, and I've just never had that happen. Maybe I'm just too awesome at video games.
Maybe you're just too good at management games. It makes up for you being shite at strategy games.
Yeah, it's like you don't even have the creepy lone dude from Theme Hospital to kind of bail you out, I guess.
Did you ever play Theme Park World?
Not really.
That had some creepy graphics.
I remember something on PlayStation, actually. Supposedly the PlayStation version of Theme Hospital didn't have the music in. I was like, what?
PlayStation versions of some things aren't great. Like the PlayStation version of Lego Rock Raiders.
Which is a completely different and vastly inferior game.
Completely different game, and it's terrible.
It's
still
bothers
still
me.
Rock Raiders, but it's not as good.
I take issue with Wikipedia articles on matters like this, because Wikipedia articles will say the game came out on PS2 and also on this other format, on like Game Boy Advance, it'll say, and I'm like, no, that's a completely different game by a completely different company, which just happens to have the same name because it's also tied into the Spider-Man movie or whatever. But it's a completely different game. It's 2D rather than 3D for one thing. It bothers me how they treat it like it's just an inferior port or something. I'm like, no, completely different. It's not just Wolfenstein 3D on a Game Boy. It's a completely different game. You bloody... This is a pet peeve of mine.
Like, very, 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 very briefly about Wikipedia. Do you know what my favourite Wikipedia page is of all time?
No.
The list of lists of lists.
Really?
Yep. They have a Wikipedia page which is a list of lists of lists.
I'm googling this right now.
Do it. Wiki, list of lists of lists.
You haven't just made this page up while we're talking.
No.
Wiki lists of lists
of lists.
of lists.
Yep.
Lists of lists. Oh, lists. This apparently exists.
Yep. The list of
This
lists
is
of lists.
this is a list of articles that are lists of list articles on the English Wikipedia. In other words, each of the articles linked here is an index to multiple lists on a topic. Some of the articles themselves are lists of lists of lists. And then it has like general reference, culture and the arts, geography and places. Do you think there's a list of articles which are lists of articles?
I sincerely hope so.
Do you think there's a podcast about podcasts, which is about podcasts, which is about
Wikipedia's lists,
which is about the fact that Aliens vs Predator could have been an amazing game if it wasn't partially shit about podcasts? We're going too deep.
You're in there too deep, man. You gotta wake up. Take the red
Can't
pill.
wake up.
Save me.
Uh,
But yeah, so there you go. That's a beautiful Wikipedia page, and I only came across it when I was trying to translate some bits of Wikipedia. And in the source code, it was like, "Lol, this is a list of lists." And I was like, "Huh?" And I went on that one. I went, "This is a list of lists of lists." And I went, "Huh?" And I went there, and it's a thing, and it's great.
I'm doing that, that blinky guy gif who's like, You know what I'm talking about? It looks a bit like Dexter.
Oh yeah, I know the guy.
He's like, I don't know why I always I really relate to that gif of the guy just kind of smiling while blinking. Just,
It's because it can mean so many things.
I often feel like that talking to you.
Yeah. Especially when we do like co-op things as well.
I only really have one more thing worth talking about on my particular list I made.
Alright, shoot.
And it's going to be a controversial one, just because I don't know. Well, it's going to be controversial because it's actually a strategy game, for one thing.
Oh, whoa.
It's not a list of lists of lists of lists of strategy games of lists. It's actually an actual strategy game. The controversy, though, is going to be how the hell you pronounce it.
Okay.
Is it Fragile Allegiance, or is it Fragile Allegiance? It's like five spellings.
Fragile
I tend to call it
Allegiance, I think.
I tend to call it Fraggle Rock,
Okay.
because it's all
That's
about
a unique
rocks.
take.
I know. That's some sort of. I don't actually know anything about Fraggle Rock because it was far before my time,
Mm.
but I just find it amusing to call it Fraggle Rock. Anywho, there's also apparently a completely unrelated game also called Fragile Allegiance, but whatever.
Whatever.
Fraggle Rock is is about. It's an old DOSy era sort of game. What I like about that's a bit different is that you're not just like a civilization, you're just a bunch of mining companies in space
Mm.
fighting over asteroids with precious minerals in them. So it's a slightly different take if you think about it. There's just like pure capitalism basically.
Mm.
It's like capitalism with a violent twist because you can just be like it is one of those games where you can be peaceful, but the systems are kind of there to serve combat of some sort. I don't think you can really not do combat,
Mm.
really.
Really.
But you can throw ships at each other, and you can fire missiles at other asteroids. So you can do stuff like soften them up with missiles, and then send your fleet in. You know, and it's fairly basic. Just lump all your ships on a target and hope for the best sort of thing. And there's also like agents you can send. So it's like, I'm going to hire an agent and send them to this asteroid to disable the
Open the gate.
Yes. Destroy the dam, release the river, the space river. You know, you can turn off their life support or whatever, turn off their weapons factory or something. You can basically blow up shit, often as a prelude to invasion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a game which is a bit clunky now, but I should have mentioned this earlier actually when we were going on about what I loved about Aliens vs Predator is how they really make the lore relevant to it all. And then you went on about Warhammer or some shit, I don't care.
Glossaries.
Glossaries. And they do that exact same thing in Fraggle Rock, where it's like, you know, you can buy a missile, and then if you click the description, it's like, this is a Mark 21B Deathbringer biological missile, highly illegal. You know, there's some things you can only buy from black market sellers, including weapons and highly illegal, like, genetic missiles. It's just like, you know, this missile is like a racist missile because it's only for use against this alien species. And it's like, oh, stuff like that. I love how you look at any given thing and it'll just have like a paragraph saying what the hell it is, like Dark Souls. It's completely unnecessary. You know, there are items that exist solely just to be traded. They're basically like vendor trash. But even they will have like a paragraph saying this is a, you know, there's all these weird alien beers and things you can find. It says this is highly toxic to humans. Do not consume, and stuff like that. I like the idea that your asteroids can either riot due to boredom or general like rebellion. So do you build more security or do you build more pleasure palaces? Basically, it's like have a pleasure palace, you bitches.
I'm gonna be the Huts. Pleasure palaces everywhere.
Did you ever play Fraggle Rock?
No.
Am I imagining? No, for some reason I thought you had. So I thought this is going to be
I've
my
played
ace.
a lot of games.
I thought this was going to be my trump card. Where I was going to be like, aha, Mexico will pay for air. So sorry.
Is it my last thing, other than like all the things that I haven't brought up yet, was an opinion thing. Which is,
opinions.
what is your opinion of management games where the entire goal is automation? So games like Factorio and Space Chem, where the entire point of the game is to set up essentially a production line and just to have the whole thing just, once you've built it, just go, and just to watch like the beautiful efficiency of it all.
My first thought is, I'd have thought Space Chem was a puzzle game more than anything else, so we've really strayed off track. But
oh god, yeah, because that'll then bring us on to Reus, because it's a Dutch game. Fuck that. No.
I need to try that again.
It's so good.
I think when you look at Reus,
Reus.
I think when you look at that, it's so easy to assume it's like a mobile clicker game just from the way you interact with it, because they have the little bubbles pop up and you click on them. It's like that freaking Goddess game, which is a complete disaster, and I can't believe anyone gave Peter Molyneux money. It was like, Peter Molyneux set up a Kickstarter, and then when everyone finished laughing, they realised someone had actually given him money.
It's like, oh, someone's made him reach the goal. What?
It's just that, it's one of my favourite reaction gifs. Ha 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 ha. Oh wait, you're
Oh, wait,
serious.
you're
Let me
serious.
laugh even harder. Ha 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 ha. You know, and then, oh, Goddess was a complete disaster, but now they're selling, this is definitely a tangent, but it's a strategy sort of game.
Yeah.
Goddess was a complete disaster, but now they're selling like a free-to-play one, okay, but it's not actually free-to-play because you get like one level in and then you have to pay to buy the rest of the game, okay. So they got rid of that, but then it turns out that that purchasable thing was how they were going to make the money to give to that guy who won that cube game, and then they kind of dicked him over by not actually giving him anything for years. That paid thing in Goddess Wars was meant to be how they were going to pay him, and then they got rid of it because of the fan backlash, and it was just such a beautiful train wreck, you couldn't make it up. It was incredible.
Oh, it sounds so good.
It was just, I couldn't believe they found some way to make Goddess even more of a train wreck, but that was just some just grade A, beautiful train wreck, really. Just I imagine like a train colliding and flying off the rails and everything, and then you get these judges going like 9.5. I guess. What are we talking about?
I don't think that we've got a topic anymore. It was gonna be automated management
Space
games.
Cam's really good. It's just not a strategy game at all, really.
Factorio though is, without a doubt, management.
I've often heard that compared to Space Cam, which is really good. Space Cam.
Space Chem. Like the only reason I bought Space Chem, and I'm not even ashamed of this, was for the in-game TF2 items that came with it.
I'm ashamed of you. Does
I'm
that
not.
help? You should be ashamed.
I'm not. I sold a hat on TF2 for like 500 quid once.
You're digging a hole. For, wait, what? Really?
Did I dig myself out of the hole? Yeah.
Well, 500 quid will dig you out of a lot of holes and dig you into some holes too.
Yep.
Ladies. Did you act? Is this an actual thing?
This
You
is an
traded
actual thing, yeah.
it? Okay.
I traded it online and through a lot of the trading and a lot of the competitive side of TF2 was not done through the official TF2 game itself. It was like done by like other websites affiliated kind of thing with it. And one of them was you can trade your hats and people will send money to your PayPal account, essentially. And so I went, okay, does anybody want this hat? And someone went, I'll give you 400 for it. And I got up to 500 eventually because I asked some other people what the actual value of the hat was. And they went, oh yeah, no, that shit's like 700 quid. And I went, oh, fairs. And just sold it.
Marvellous.
Yeah.
As opposed to me, like one time I had a Steam trading card that was worth £1, and that was very exciting.
That is quite a nice.
Because they're usually worth like 3p,
Yeah.
5p, 7p.
I sold an
there's
in-game
one-
weapon for 35 quid once. That
I'm
got me
playing
a
the
free
wrong-
Steam controller.
I'm playing the wrong games.
That got me a free Steam controller.
Okay.
I'm proud of that. But yeah,
is
we
this
shall
like-
finish the strategy talk and shit with what is not even
What
arguably
is cloud
nobody
gaming?
Can,
Cloud gaming is...
nobody can argue this. The greatest unit of any strategy game ever of all time is the Scout Sheep.
Scout Sheep.
Scout Sheep. If you don't know what it is, Google it.
Is this Age of Empires?
Fucking yeah. Would it be anything else? That game is like my baby. One of the some of the things I've got written down on my piece of paper is just like a bunch of different tactics for Age of Empires.
Involving the Scout Sheep.
Some of them, yeah.
Okay. Well, good. I didn't even talk about Kessen 2, even though I totally could have.
And I didn't even talk about Warcraft.
Even though you totally could have.
I could have.
I guess it's that thing again, where it's two games neither of us... Each of us have, you know, I've played one, you haven't played it. You've
Yeah.
played one, I haven't played it.
What about
So we kind of-
StarCraft?
Have you played StarCraft?
I played a bit of StarCraft, yeah.
I don't know anything about it other than it's one of those things that is so far beyond me, I never even hope to attempt it.
Zerg Rush.
I'm familiar with that term. That's about it.
I was banking on it. Loose rock.
Oh no.
Dirt.
I think that's the sound of this podcast slowly dying.
Teleport pad.
Yes, teleport to a end of the podcast, I think.
Yes, let's cut it off here. It's
uh,
the kindest thing we can do to it.
Maybe this was a 2-hour ramble before the actual podcast begins. The After Hours Triple X podcast.
Oh shit!
4X.
I've not been recording. Fuck.
Really?
No, I have been. I just fucked up the oh shit. I finished recording because I was reporting.
Oh, I see. Okay. I was gonna say the correct time to realise that was 2 hours ago.
Is
So
it?
that's fine.
A lot of my jokes fall flat. Don't worry.
Don't worry. Flat like your beer,
I don't drink beer.
because it's flat. Why she got her hands on her face, Cecil? Yeah, Cecil. Because she's got a beard. Yeah. I had fun.
I've had fun talking about
Busy
whatever it
2
was
hours.
we've talked about for 2 hours. I hope you have
mainly,
too.
yes, it was mainly Aliens vs Predator Extinction.
It's mainly
how
Age of Who Gives a Fuck, Empires, Mythology, and all that.
Age of that one.
Age of Aliens.
I'm impressed how we talked about Total War without mentioning that you should never, under any circumstances, ever pre-order a Total War game, because
very
why would
true.
you ever do that?
And I had completely forgot to complain about the Pope in Crusader Kings
Real
2.
life? Oh, okay.
I had a whole story about how I once had an anti-pope that was gay.
I like every part of that description. Alas, another time perhaps.
Exactly.
I feel the need, maybe almost the moral of the story could be Total War. Why would you ever pre-order? Ironically,
Total why?
Total why? You'd think Total War fans, being history buffs, would know to remember their history and not pre-order Total War games.
Well, you gotta let history repeat itself before you can look at the fact that history repeats itself. I'm not a history student. I don't know.
Is this like how this is the windiest day on record since the Weather Research Center blew away? That sort of thing.
Pretty much.
Yes. The World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones.
Wasn't it World War? No, yeah, you're right. So wasn't it World War 3? But no, that's what we don't know. What will be fought with?
Yeah.
It'll be fought with memes.
Twitter accounts is my current prediction. Hashtags.
World War 3 will be fought with hashtags, and then everything will get EMP'd, and that's why we're left with sticks and stones.
I always liked the Judge
Hashtag
Dredd comic where they have wars by assigning five team members to 2 different teams, and then they just kill each other, and that's the war. That's how you decide who wins things. It's like, oh no, my war, I lost the war. Oh well, that's my 5 guys done.
Have you heard of the theory that the Olympics is the new way of waging war?
I honestly feel like Twitter is the real way of waging war.
Countries getting their dicks out with their athletes.
Go, my minions, attack them.
DDoS their
DMs.
servers.
Yes. I'll have my revenge at Deathstalker 2. We have definitely divulged. I like how for the last 20 minutes we've been saying we should wrap up now.
And we
That's
haven't
most
wrapped
of
up.
my things in.
Okay, let's this is the wrap now, and you got to wrap it because we're wrapping it
Is this when X is finally going to give it to us?
with cling film.
Mm-hmm. Well, that sounds. I don't. What? It's like, I wrapped it up for you. Here you are. Oh, thanks, X.
Thank you, X, for delivering it to me.
You successfully delivered it to me. Thank you. And now I'm going to deliver an ending to this podcast.
Go on then.
That was it.
Great.
No, you this has been Jazz and Biscuit.
Yep.
Jazzy Biscuits, some sort of name in there somewhere. I've had fun. Have you had fun?
I've had fun. Have you had fun?
I've had fun. Have you had fun?
That wasn't to you. That was to the listener.
No, you hang
You know,
up
the
first.
listeners who have
You
left us.
hang up first. You hang up first. Look, you know what you got what you paid for, which was bugger all.
Which was nothing. Which was minus nothing if you have ad block.
It's true, actually.
Yeah.
No one's gonna want to put ads on this shit. What are you talking about? I will
Advertising
gladly
is
be a
for
paid
whores.
shill for the Aliens vs Predator Extinction Consortium.
Although if anyone wants to pay me, I'll be happy with that.
Look, speaking of shills, there's nothing you want to plug?
I'm starting up a channel since I've cameoed in like a bunch of your videos and have been thinking on and off about doing my own things for a while now. So I'll have that up and running soon.
Only about as long as YouTube has existed have you been contemplating doing this. But
I've
yes.
got some videos from when you and I first started playing Minecraft 5 or 7 years ago.
Oh God, really?
In a playlist called Old Miscellaneous Garbage.
Oh, actually, you deleted some, and that annoyed me. I remember that now.
Yeah, exactly. But I still got Billy the Mind Slime.
Oh, Billy the Mind Slime. Precious.
And that
memory.
small clip of us when we first played Mountain Blade.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll chill that for later.
Okay.
Watch this
Good.
space.
Me, meanwhile, I write shit. I do weekly blogs of a similar vein to this shit. I'm also a highly pretentious SJW sort of person, so that's fun.
He is. She is. Fuck.
My point precisely, ladies and gentlemen. My podcast partner has triggered me, and
Because that's the kind of person that he is.
shit, God damn it! You've completely you're being triggered out of this podcast in a minute. God damn it! I know I sound like Brian Blessed, but do try.
Oh.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
What are we talking about?
The ending.
So I do Let's Plays and shit. Go watch that.
Do it.
Yeah. And hopefully I would like to do more of these, and hopefully people would want to listen to them. Hopefully. Maybe we need to throw some tag words in there for YouTube's algorithms to pick it up.
Oh.
Minecraft, just a prank, bruh.
Let's play.
Fake news. Let's play.
Tories. Brexit special.
Brexit. We will make breakfast.
Brexit
Delicious.
sounds too much like biscuit for me.
Yeah, that's true. You can't make a breaking eggs. What was it?
I was going to make an analogy about crumbles, but crumbs even crumbling. Fuck.
You know what's good for breakfast is Weetabix. Weetabix are good.
Yeah.
Go with anything. They even go with podcast endings.
They do very well. Is it over?
I think it is. That's a mercy killing, let's be fair.